I'm so happy for Washington. The Washington football team made the playoffs. Now, in a rather ugly fashion, they went 7-9. They barely won their division full of really bad football teams, the NFC East. However, I gotta say, Washington, first of all, went through a lot off the field. Their name change, the owner in trouble with impropriety, a lot of stuff, a lot of sexual impropriety stories in the offseason, like a tumultuous offseason for Washington, which I have really no sympathy for the owner. I kind of hate the owner of Washington. I'm not a fan. I wish he would get out of there. I have a lot of problems there. But what I do like about Washington is their head coach and their quarterback, and I think the players who have no blame, they don't control what the ownership does. And so, first of all, you have Ron Rivera, their head coach, who is battling cancer, during on the sidelines and at halftime and in between practices. Like, Ron Rivera is an amazing story of a guy who, he had his final cancer treatment midseason, got rid of it. He's coaching after that. He made the playoffs in his first year in Washington after getting fired by his former coach, Team Carolina. I love that so much. I like Ron Rivera. He's incredibly compelling. I don't know how you can not like Ron Rivera and what they're building there. Logan Thomas is cool. They got some good young players, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson. There are good young players in Washington, and they're developing a good culture. And most importantly, Washington is very well coached. They're disciplined. They do the right things. They drafted Chase Young, number 2 overall. And I did question it last week. I said, well, what if, I wondered, is Washington going to ever regret, drafting Chase Young rather than Justin Herbert? I don't know that that's, I want to bring that up because I'm sure Washington fans listen to that and are angry at me. I don't blame you. As I think about it more, I go, well, I don't know that Justin Herbert would have developed the same way he did in Washington as he did in LA with the Chargers. But also, look at what Chase Young has become. You heard during the broadcast, people were saying he's literally become a somewhat of a Ray Lewis type leader in that locker room. He's a rookie. He's a captain. They love him. They follow him. I think so. They're not going to regret drafting Chase Young ever. He's awesome. He's a great player. He's a great leader. He's incredibly talented, and I'm excited for Washington there. I also get to give a shout out to their quarterback, Alex Smith, who fought back from a potentially career-ending injury. It's an unbelievable story of a guy who almost lost his leg, almost died, had flesh-eating bacteria on his leg. He's got a weird, crazy brace. It's a mess, and I really can't believe Alex Smith is playing football at all. But he is. He's playing well enough to make the playoffs. It's pretty cool. And I gotta say this because I don't think Washington is going to win their playoff game. I would imagine they're going to lose to Tampa Bay. However, they do have a real chance. They have a real opportunity to beat Tampa Bay in the wild card round. They're well coached. The Buccaneers at times, while the Buccaneers are playing very well, they're really hot, they're on a roll, they are at times very undisciplined. And Washington is the opposite. They're not as talented as Tampa Bay. I mean, actually, it's kind of crazy how opposite Washington and Tampa are. Tampa is incredibly talented and often incredibly undisciplined, where Washington is really not that talented, but man, are they disciplined and well coached and organized. And so it's going to be a very interesting matchup. And I think if any team from the NFC East was going to have a real opportunity to beat Tampa Bay. I know the Giants did it earlier this year, but I don't think the Giants team we're seeing now is quite the same as what we saw earlier in the year. I think really the difference too is Tampa's better. So I think a better Tampa team against the Giants now, Tampa wins more easily. But Washington gives me pause. If anybody can beat Tampa Bay, it is Washington from that division, the NFC East, I mean. And I love the story of Washington. I want to give away an award at the end of the year. The story of the year. It's it's my own spin on comeback player of the year. And what's crazy is Washington really has 2 candidates for that award. You have Ron Rivera, the head coach, battling cancer, and Alex Smith, the quarterback, coming back from a potentially career-ending injury. It's an unbelievable story all around, and I'm happy for Washington. Even if I hate their owner, I really like their head coach. I really like their quarterback, and if I'm a Washington fan, I feel very good about my team moving forward. You got the right coach. I think at some point you got to get a younger quarterback who can be your franchise quarterback of the future. But oh my goodness, I really am excited and happy for the Washington football team. I'm glad they made the playoffs. Well done, and a round of applause from me.